Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. After having the opportunity to have a little bit of lunch, we wanted to continue our program today with our keynote speaker. My name is Eric Farnsworth. I'm the Vice President of the American Society and Council of the Americas from Washington. And as you heard from Susan Siegel earlier this morning, it's a real pleasure to be here in Houston. For a couple of reasons. She, of course, down from New York, me being from Washington. The weather is about the same. It's equally inhospitable. But the fact of the matter is the political environment in Washington these days is also something that I don't immediately miss. We're supposed to be right now in a post-partisan environment in Washington, but the fact of the matter is, even though the elections were very hard fought, back in November, in fact, the hand-to-hand combat has only just now begun. And I have to stress, though, that's actually not between Republicans and Democrats. That's just among Democrats looking for jobs in the new administration. So it is really starting to get ugly in some places in D.C., but it's great to be able to be back in Houston at the Baker Institute. It's always such a warm welcome here. It's a real privilege to be partnering with the Baker Institute, with Amy, and with Erica, and with the whole team. This is the first of what we hope will be a number of such collaborations and a number of similar opportunities going forward. You know, it's real privilege not just to partner with the folks that I mentioned, but also to be here in this facility. I first started in Washington at the State Department in 1990, and of course the Secretary of State at that time was Jim Baker. And Ed Jurigian was also a very high-level ambassador of the United States. I believe at that time he was in Syria. But the fact of the matter is just coming through this magnificent building and seeing all of the awards and letters and honors and, frankly, the signature of Jim Baker on the U.S. currency reminds one of the impressive nature of the founder of this institute and the real honor it is to be here in honor of both Jim and Ambassador Jurigian and others. But also it brings back many fond memories for myself personally from those days in Washington. The fact of the matter is we have another opportunity this afternoon to hear from somebody who is really cutting his own very creative and important course in Mexico. We've heard a lot of important and interesting conversation today already about energy in Latin America and the Western Hemisphere. Now we're going to turn the focus a little bit to a country that's closer to home here in the United States and closer to Houston, and that's the country of Mexico. It is a real honor and a pleasure to have the opportunity to introduce our keynote speaker, Fidel Herrera Beltran, who of course is the governor of the state of Veracruz. He has a very impressive background and numerous accomplishments, as you would anticipate. His bio information is in your packet of information, so I'm not going to go through that. I'll simply try to highlight a number of the real key aspects of some of the things he's done. Of course, before he's been governor, he's had a long history in politics, a senator for a number of years from the PRI. He has been involved in a number of international delegations to places around the world, including the United States, and this gives him a real sense of Mexico's place in the global environment and a real sense of things that one can do from a global perspective. And so he has that, even as a governor, he has that global understanding, and we're particularly glad that he's able to come today. He's very well respected, obviously, and very highly regarded. And let me just give you a sense of a couple of the interesting things he's been doing actually in his own state in Veracruz. He's been a champion for electoral reforms. He's been somebody who has taken seriously the idea that in order to reduce migration from Mexico to the United States, and specifically from Veracruz to the United States, good jobs have to be created for the population to keep the population at home. And he's taken seriously with programs and initiatives to generate organic growth in his state. He's taken a very high profile and a very successful profile to date on clean air and clean energy, and frankly on environmental issues. He's really showing what we've known in the United States for a long time, and that is governors of countries can actually serve as experimenters, and their states can be laboratories of democracy and laboratories of development. And I think that the speaker who will shortly follow me is clearly somebody who has taken that seriously. Of course, Veracruz is the #1 producer and refiner of oil in Mexico as well. So the governor knows a little bit about the energy industry as well, and we hope to hear from him on that. And finally, In terms of alternative energy, the governor has also taken a fairly significant profile in that way. He's a strong advocate for investment in alternative energy, and of course Veracruz being Mexico's largest producer of sugarcane, you can anticipate, and you would be correct, that the governor has also been pushing for increased production of sugar-based ethanol and second-generation biofuels as a way to promote not just his state, but also some of the important issues we've already been talking about in terms of the hemispheric perspective. After the governor gives his remarks, there will be a short period of questions and answers that I believe will be moderated by Amy Jaffe, and then after that we will take our dessert outside in the foyer, and then we'll start the afternoon program after that. So ladies and gentlemen, if you would please join me in welcoming our guest speaker for this afternoon session, the governor of Veracruz, Fidel Herrera Beltran.
Thank you very much, Eric, for this kind introduction. I told him that next I am put forward as a candidate, I will call him to introduce me. I really thank a lot the Baker Institute, the Rice University, and the Council of the Americans for this invitation. I would take a double chance of addressing you, whom I've been listening in the morning with the very important information about energy policy and policies on the field, at the time that I take advantage, if you allow me, to show some of the things that we had to offer you in Veracruz. So you see, and I speak, and that way maybe we can interest you in accepting our invitation to come and visit with us in the near future. I'm much honored to be here with you, and very happy to share also with you some of the most important initiatives that the government I serve is doing in the field of energy, in the producing of alternative energy, and the opportunities that a new energy reform put forward through the federal House of the Mexican legislative power bring us as a country. I do believe that this is the time for opportunities to review public policies in the field of energy and to try new ideas and new projects for better times. Veracruz, the state I serve, is called in Mexico the energy state. I believe that is a very well-earned reputation. We produce energy more than any other part of Mexico, all sources. Our energy industry is extremely robust. The main components of this energy production are obviously fossil energies out of oil and gas, but at the same time, biofuels, hydroelectric electricity production, solar generation, wind power. We have the only nuclear power plant in Mexico, and of course, lots of generation from beneath earth, geothermal generation. Energy policy and politics, the changing energy landscape in Latin America, it's giving us a lot of information and reflections on what to do for now and for the future. And I believe that revisiting what we had done before, look a little bit back in time, could also give us a full understanding how the local becomes global and how the global becomes totally local when talking about democracy, energy, production, and consumption. History always teaches us good lessons about what to do and not to do. Mexico's oil reserves have always been a major asset for Mexico's economy and especially for the state of Veracruz. In the whole of the Mexican Republic, 4 states, all of them located in the Gulf of Mexico, are the producers of 98% of the oil and gas of the country. Campeche, Tabasco, Veracruz, and Tamaulipas are the major producers of oil and gas of the country. 100 years ago, Veracruz had the first oil field named Dos Bocas, or Two Mouths in English. This field was used to produce as much as 100 barrels a day, quite a lot at that time. Companies such as the Eagle later became BP. Pennsylvania Oil, Huasteca Petroleum Company, and other companies were drilling and producing oil that was refined in the oldest refinery of the country, Mata Redonda, and another one in the southern part of the state, Minatitlan, both of them built by a famous English engineer, Dwight D. Pearson, the same engineer that also built the port of Veracruz and the port of Mexico, later named Coatzacoalcos. By 1921, Mexico was the second oil producer in the world, with as much as 200 million barrels and 200 oil companies. In 1933, the oil fields of Poza Rica in northern Mexico were discovered. These oil fields made history at that time and are still making history by producing thousands of barrels a day. We are large producers of natural gas with more than 1.4 billion cubic meters a day, as stated yesterday, as well as some 86,000 barrels of oil a day in different areas of the state. Today, Veracruz produces a lot of oil already in the new finding area of the Paleo Canal of Chicontepec, northeast of the state, where 536 new wells were in production, and recently had been established that the existence of 139 billion barrels a day of that area gives Mexico a new perspective. Chicontepec new findings are almost 4 times larger than Cantarell, Mexico's historic largest oil field in the South Gulf of Mexico. The fact makes Mexican oil reserves the third largest in the world, above Iran and Iraq. These and the new reforms that I mentioned passed by the Mexican Congress recently changes dramatically Mexico's oil exploration, production, and exportation. This could potentially make Mexico the third or fifth largest producer in the world. Sacamat 1, the name of it in Totonaca, that means birthday, offshore drilling in Tuxpan, is the first offshore drilling facility that Mexico, after the new legislation, is implementing. It will allow the creation of more production and a lot of jobs, thousands of them, through the investment and new ventures and companies. Oil production has been regulated and administered by the Mexican government through Pemex. Now, things permit, and the legislation creates a new framework within which many areas are open for complementary investment in technology and in production. Pemex has more flexibility for its acquisitions. It works on a more regular business styles are being put forward with more easy terms than the regulations prevailing before. With the approval of the energy reform, private companies may get permissions to do exploration and drilling under Pemex bidding contracts. In fact, 2 days ago, Pemex announced the bidding of a new program of 170 new oil wells in the area of Chicontepec. It means about $2,500 million to invest in the next few months. As you can see today Mexico's energy is a real good investment. It's the right time to invest in Mexico in areas that were closed or not open before. I do believe that not only in the area of oil and gas, but in several other areas of clean production, Mexico, and again Veracruz, offer the best opportunity. We have in Veracruz some 17,000 square kilometers of oil and gas ducts, pipelines, and we have an important number of companies that build products for the oil industry, oil rigs, platforms, and the biggest company of pipelines, Tenaris Tanza, whose premises I will have the honor to open later on today, here in Houston, are working in major projects of energy, including nuclear energy. Yesterday, Iberdrola, the Spanish company, finished the renewal, the reconfiguration of this nuclear facility plant to produce 20% more than before and make it more sure in Laguna Verde, adds to the cost-efficient electricity energy programs of Mexico a lot. We are for that called the energy state. At the same time, the priority of the government I serve is to promote the production of sustainable energy. Recently, with the help of the International Bank and the government of Great Britain through his embassy, a very important framework to work on climate change projects related to communities and to develop programs to reforest and clear the air, take care of water and land, had been signed, and more than £1 million are devoted by the British government, that we had matched with another 1 million to create a framework that could help other parts of the Mexican Republic. We do not support the idea of producing green energy from milks like corn. We have developed many other areas of investment in energy projects that are eco-friendly. We're getting cleaner energy with ethanol, like Eric mentioned, out of sugarcane, biodiesel out of African palm trees, biomass, air, and sun productions. We are working as well on developing new and creative ways for energy production with some other countries. With Brazil, we're working on ethanol production from sugarcane and yucca. We do the same with the Spanish companies that have started a diesel plant from African coconut and planting 50,000 hectares of Jatropha coccus, a local plant for the same purpose. With American companies, we're growing sweet sorghos to produce ethanol. And with Israel, higuerilla, we don't have a translation for that local plant to produce diesel as well. With Costa Rica and Colombia, we're closely working on biodiesel from jatropha and palm seeds. Our great continent, the Americans, is the green continent. Therefore, we will commit on working towards producing green energy. We, the Veracruz Society, the government I serve, and all the industry and private sector are committed to launch all sorts of initiatives in order to keep our environment sane, clear, and enjoyable. Our climate change initiatives includes the care of our water resources, which are 1/3 of all the fresh water of the Mexico's Republic, located in Veracruz. And at the same time, we mean to preserve and use the forest reserve, but the most technical use as well. Veracruz has the only tropical forest in the North Hemisphere. The place where Mel Gibson recently shot his film Apocalypse is now developed a new plantation of one of the largest biodiverse amount of trees that we almost saw disappear and are being replanted. We see Veracruz, and we think of Veracruz as a big window of opportunity that Mexico represents for companies that want to invest in alternative, renewable, and natural energy. Mexico's best source of energy and our most important assets are our people. Indians that are our pride live in most of the areas that we have devoted for the climate change initiative. Mexico's people and Veracruz are hardworking, optimistic, very resourceful. Just in Veracruz, we have more than 40,000 engineering students in our universities and technical institutes, and we're meaning them to orientate them to the new generation of alternative energy. We know now that the economic difficulties are hurting most of the economies in the world. We know that this is a time to remember that neighbors are neighbors and that we had to work together to build ways to live better. With the United States and Canada, through the NAFTA agreements, we have been living a period of economic development. We mean to keep close to the United States and to Canada and to devote more and more to the energy sector so as to take the opportunity that, amazingly enough and contradictory enough, the crisis plans, so as to take this opportunity to move, to create new jobs at the same time that we produce clean and sustainable energy. New ideas for energy are a good example. Some investors are concerned about Mexico's future. I can tell you that now is the right time to take advantage of all opportunities that Mexico has to offer. Our new energy reform will definitely detonate growth in our country. Mexico will be always a good place to invest, with good people to have as friends, good partners, and it will be profitable as investment. I believe that this is the time to work together in energy, in policy and politics that make the landscape in Latin America of the changing energy a real opportunity to consolidate democracies, to fight poverty, and to live authentically much better than we live today. As much as I tell you now, I open the floor for whatever questions, reflections, or even answers that you could have for me. Thank you.
We have some questions for the governor.
Governor, I have a couple of questions. How do you handle the issues regarding not only the security, but the economic crisis in order to be presenting or introducing Veracruz, but also Mexico, with the investment? Foreign investment, for them, is critical, these two couple of issues.
Yes, of course. Listen, I believe the same time, and the same ways that the economic crisis is not hitting equally all areas of the planet. Not all countries are suffering what the Western democracies are suffering because of different reasons, but basically because of the of the pattern of on which the economies are based, we know that the East Asian nations are doing much better than we could do in the American society. Well, the same way, the crisis is not hitting equally all nations or countries, the same thing happened concerning security. If for that you mean the Mexican struggle against organized crime. The same happened within the countries and even within the states. Veracruz is growing rapidly at a rate that doubles the national growth product of the country. Over the last 4 years, we have been able to create 300,000 new jobs, well paid, with full insurance, and a lot more of jobs in the small businesses and family businesses, adding value to what is our main strength, which is rural production. Veracruz is a large producer of sugar cane with 22 sugar factories. We produce a lot of coffee. Most of the limes and oranges that Mexico exports come from Veracruz. Our biggest market, by the way, is Texas, where most of the pineapple, banana, thousands of other things are being exported from Mexico. Veracruz is not benefited with the NAFTA investments linked to what is called the maquiladora business. Those jobs, 4 million jobs that were created in the border towns that were close to the markets, United States and Canada. None of the auto link with the auto manufacturer investments came to Veracruz. We did not have neither Chrysler, not Ford, not Nissan. Those jobs remain in the central states of Mexico. We then were assigned a strategical position in logistics. That's why we have 3 major ports, Veracruz, Coatzacoalcos, Tuxpan, as well as the rural sector. But now, with the cycle of the economy, what is to be eaten is what has more price. Commodities are up. And what is a problem for the rest of the economy is an advantage for Veracruz economy. 2 examples. Sugar. With a price of $400 when the dollar was at 10 pesos each, it was no good business for sugar producers to sell it abroad or export it. But now that $400 costs as much as 6,000 pesos, it is a good business, and we are exporting a lot of sugar through the port of Veracruz and other ports. Today, during the morning with the Great Houston Partnership, we were able to withdraw 300,000 tons of sugar for the following next weeks. Coffee. Coffee, the price of coffee is, I don't know why, but it's in Wall Street is fixed. And it was at $120 each bag of 60 kilograms, what they call quintal. Well, as much as 3 weeks ago, the price was $80, $90. Veracruz is a large producer of quality coffees because we have been able to withdraw good agreements with Costa Rica and Colombia. And I mentioned those 2 countries because we've been, with the help of the International Bank of Reconstruction, working with them, and also with the help of the Chinese government that opened relations with Costa Rica, and through them we got investments. And I tell you something else. We did not have a car industry established in Veracruz until now, but this is going to be Chinese. It's a factory of tractors for the rural sector, for sugar cane and for other plantations. And they work so quick. I visited China, and 2 months later, they already opened the factory in Coatzacoalcos. And so our economy is not losing any jobs. On the contrary, we were mentioned yesterday, we have a fair job with looking for people to be accommodated. TAMSA, Tenaris TAMSA, whose premises I will open today, this afternoon here in Houston, is building a new factory with a new steel They built most of the 60% of the pipelines for the oil production in the North Seas, in Norway, and all over in the Arabian countries. Well, they are at this moment building a second major plant, adding another 8,000 jobs to the ones they have before. Security is the same case. It is not the same case what happened to the Mexican northern states that what we live in Veracruz. Of course, we do back with full strength and with the willingness of our society the federal program of President Calderon. Not only courageous, but intelligent, and I believe that is something that is good for the economy, for the country, for democracy, and for the families. But we don't have the same situation that the rest of the country. I was mentioning, Eric, that I last came in and checked at the hotel at 12 because I had to parade in the Carnival of Veracruz and walk 7 kilometers with my wife, saying thank you and saluting 2 million people that were participating in the Carnival of Veracruz, the Mardi Gras celebrations. So it's not the same. When the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Mexico stated that the problem was major in 3 other states, some people complain, but that is true. Another funny thing, it's not energy, but since you give me the field, I will convey to you this, what I regard as a precious stone of what good governance, I think, is doing. The people that are organizing these festivities came and said to me, look, almost 100 very famous Mexican singers, artists, show business wants to come to Veracruz, and they are charging us half the price. And I said, is it because they like us very much? No, it is because they cannot go any other place for the security problems. So we had to accommodate all sorts of very big and large names, such as Alejandro Fernandez and Yuri, and they came and charged half. And so I said, we have problems with hotels. I said, well, are they coming, singing, and going away? No, they will stay for the carnival. Mind you, I had to leave also my house to accommodate these people, famous that want to come. So while the same as economy, the same as security, the same as many other things, not everyone has the same objective or subjective conditions. Everyone dances according to different tones, and we are dancing well, the jarocho music, which is quicker, which is nicer, and which is producing us a lot of good things. Good energy.
Other question?
Convinced. Thank you. They are convinced. Thank you, Annie. Thank you very much, and I do invite you all to come and visit with us. We have non-stop flights from Houston. They will reduce the fare, I hope. If not, we can organize some other ways for you to visit us in the near future. Thank you. Enjoy.